friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em, and welcome to a weekly vlog and week 2 of Clear Your Shit. So as you can see, we started off today by going to the beach because it's 91 here today, which, you know, it's a little warm for early June, and we wanted to just get out of the heat. It was super foggy while we were there for the most part, but it was really nice. I forgot how much I love the beach. I mean, I didn't really, but I kind of did. I don't know. I had like built up in my head that going to the beach with the kids is a lot of work, and it is, but I used to do it all the time, and they were so much younger when I would do it all the time, and now they're way more self-sufficient. And anyways, it was great. So my resolution is to go to the beach more this summer because we haven't utilized it the way we should the last couple of summers, and we live like an hour away. So what am I even doing? And then we came home and I worked out. My face is still a little tomato looking, and I'm just so excited for another week of Clear Your Shit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Clear Your Shit is a storied readathon where the goal is to read through your physical TBR. I will link all the things down below. The first prompt for this week is to read a book that you or someone else would deem cozy. I didn't have a ton of cozy books still on my TBR. I very impulsively started this last night, which I can't remember the name of, but it's up here, and it's by Sarah Wallace, and is it S.O. Callahan is the other author. Sarah Wallace I absolutely adore. I've talked about their books so many times, and S.O. Callahan I've read one book from before and I thought it was fine, but these two are very similar in just the type of stories that they write. And so I started this last night, but I have it on ebook, and I don't count my ebooks towards my physical TBR just because I have so few of them, but I have been hoarding this for a while. And then at the beach today, I started Emily and the Hollow World, which is the first book in the Emily Adventures, which is a young adult duology by Martha Wells that just got republished by TWO. And TWO was really sweet, and they sent me a finished copy, or a finished bind-up of both the books, and I think this sounds like it could be cozy. This is also, like, Sarah Wallace historically writes super cozy romances. So I'm not quite sure which one's my official pick. So I'm just gonna keep reading and I'll let you know. Maybe I'll just read both of them, and I'll just read 2 books for one prompt this week. Who cares? I could do that. No one's gonna get mad at me, I don't think. But yeah, I'm not really far enough into either of them to like really talk about them yet. I was toying with the idea of making it a goal to read 100 pages a day this week to really focus in my reading, but it's already almost 4 o'clock and I've only read like 20 pages of this, and I'm not sure how many e-pages I read of the other book, but I don't know. I'm a little all over the place right now. My husband's about to leave for work trip. He will be back by the time you see this, and it's the last week of school. We have 3 days of school this week, so it's an exciting week. Lots of stuff going on. Definitely feels like the beginning of summer, especially with this weather, and I'm so excited. I love summer. It's my favorite season. I just can't wait. It's gonna be so great. But anyways, I'm going to drink some more water, have a small snack, and maybe like sit down and read, because now that we're back from the beach, everyone's like ready to relax for a little bit. So I think that's the plan. But yeah, welcome to the vlog, and fingers crossed for a super productive, super joyful week of reading. Happy Monday, friends. I'm about to scamper off to meet some friends for coffee before I have to go to work, but I'm 20% into breeze spells and bridegrooms, and so I wanted to come and give you a little bit of an update. I'm not loving it. I love that light bouncing off the school bus. It is a, not London, but like a fantasy world that is coded to be like maybe Victorian London. Societal rules are pretty much the same, though it is a queer norm world, which I always really appreciate in Sarah Wallace's works. I'm assuming S.O. Callahan has a similar setup in their works. And in this world, it's been about 100 years since fairies fairy society integrated with human society, and there is magic. Fairies have innate magic, and then humans have the ability to learn and practice spells, so they have their own magic, and their magics work very differently. And when children are, I think, 12, they're given this test to gauge their magical ability, and how well you score on this test determines whether or not you are going to inherit your family's wealth. So instead of it being the firstborn, it's whoever scores the highest on this test. It is going to determine your social standing as an adult. It's going to determine your eligibility for marriage. Like, a lot rides on it. So if you do poorly as a child, you're kind of screwed, and you only get one chance. And so our main character, Roger, is a human, and he did not do well on his test. And he has determined that the test is not adequate, like they don't cover enough, and so he's been pitching to this council that's a mix of fae and humans to redo the test, give it different parameters that are going to more widely demonstrate a child's magical ability, and will also be a little bit more fair, because a lot of children are not passing this test, and it's causing problems in society. And then our fae main character, Win, he also didn't score. Did he score high? I don't remember. But they're kind of having the same problem with the fae, is that their children aren't doing so great on this test either. And so Roger and Win are kind of forced to work together on this proposal that Roger has brought to the council to make it applicable for society. The only problem is that Win and Roger kind of hate each other. Well, let me take that back. Win really does not like Roger. He has a lot of disdain for him. He's very rude to him, and Roger is such a sweet, kind cinnamon roll, and is just polite and courteous to everyone. And then Win turns around and is such a jerk to him. So I'm not liking it, because they're doing the thing that I really don't like when romance novels do this, where it's coded as enemies to lovers, but what it really is that one of the love interests is a giant jerk and is rude and is mean for no reason other than that, like, I don't know, they find the other person annoying, or they don't like their clothes, or, it's always some like really kind of superficial reason. And then the other person is just super sweet and continues to be kind and let the other person like trot all over them. So I'm not sure that I really like it, but it's easy to read and the chapters are short, so I'm reading it, but I don't want Roger to fall in love with Win. I'm like, Roger, you deserve better. He is so sweet. He is so smart. He doesn't think very highly of himself, which is so sad, because he deserves so many good things. And I don't mind an insecure main character like that. Like, that was one of my things that I really loved about Half Moon Street is, I can't remember that character's name. But he just didn't think very much of himself, because he'd had a couple people, really wear him down throughout his childhood and young adulthood. And a part of the loveliness is the main character, the love interest, being like, no, you're amazing, you're incredible, and anybody who thinks you're not is a dipshit and should be dropped in the nearest dumpster. And I don't like it that Win is tearing Roger down and making fun of him and belittling him. I'm like, I'm not buying this romance. Win is gonna have to do the biggest grovel, the biggest let me win you over, if Wallace and Callahan want me to buy this romance, because right now I'm not having it. I did end up reading about 100 pages yesterday. I read about 60 pages of Emily in the Hollow World, and then I think about 50 pages of Breathe Spells and Bridegrooms, so it's hard to tell because it's on ebook, and so the math is just different because of the font size I have my Kobo set at, because my poor little eyes need a big font. I'm going to go meet my friends for coffee, and I will tell you about Emily and the Hollow World later today. Pinky promise. Morning, friends. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I did not hit my 100 pages yesterday. I epically failed. But I need you to know that I think this book is putting me into a reading slump, and I'm contemplating DNFing it because Wynn is being so horrible to Roger for no reason whatsoever that I don't even want them to be together anymore. Fuck Wynn. He doesn't deserve Roger. Roger deserves so much better because, like, Wynn's just rude for seemingly no reason. And at this point, I don't even think whatever reason, like, if there is a more legitimate reason, or legitimate as far as Wynn's concerned, for him to be so rude and snide and just cruel to Roger, like, even if there is a somewhat legitimate reason, I don't even care anymore. I don't care what the reason is. He's just horrible and I don't like him. And he should be alone forever is how I feel. So I'm probably going to DNF after that. I'm like 25% of the way through. I just don't like it. Which means I am going to switch my attention to Emily of the Hollow World. I have like an hour left on the audio, or the audiobook says I have like an hour left. I'm not loving this one either. I would say my brain is bouncing off of it in a really big way, like bouncing off the writing, which happens a lot for me with Martha Wells, oddly enough, even though Murderbot is like one of my favorite series of all time. My brain has a tendency to like bounce off of her writing in a really big way. Like, I've tried to read her fantasy before and I haven't been able to make it very far. I've tried to read, I did read Witch King, and I like that okay. I think that's probably the most successful I've been with her writing after the Murderbot Diaries. But this is a YA steampunk book, and our main character, Emily, when we meet her at the beginning of the book, she is running away from her uncle, who is really controlling, I would say emotionally abusive, just based off of the things Emily has said. And her intent is to stow away on this passenger ship to go stay with her cousin, I think, who runs a school for girls in another city, but she stows away on the wrong ship and ends up like going into this magical world within the world, which is very cool. The world and the magic system. Well, there's not, yeah, I get magic. I guess there's magic. Anyways, that part is all really cool. My problem with it, I'll use that word loosely, is that I'm bouncing off the writing, and that Emily is supposed to be 16, but reads much younger. Like, if she hadn't said how old she was, I would have assumed she was 13, but the writing isn't middle grade writing. Also, the chapters are so long. They're so long. But I only have an hour left, so I think I'm going to try and focus on finishing that today so that I can move on to the next prompt, because I feel like I'm going to go into a reading slump if I don't start reading something that I'm really excited about right away. But first I have to go to work, and then I have to film my spring book haul, and then hopefully I will finish Emily in the Hollow World, and you all can help me. Well, you won't be able to help me, but we can pick my next read together. Okay, it is many more hours than I thought it was going to be, but, and the AC is on, so hopefully that's not too loud, but I did finish Emily in the Hollow World. I'm going to give it a 3. I thought it was fine. Like I said, I really like the world building in this. Emily goes to a bunch of really cool, like, underwater worlds that honestly actually reminded me of the My Little Pony movie, like the hippogriff world that they go to. Reminded me kind of that. But the ship that she has accidentally stowed away on just like sinks into the water and travels into this other world within her world, and she goes on this great adventure, learns some things about herself. There's like the very beginning of what could be a very age-appropriate romance in the next book, and it was fine. Again, I think I would have liked it more if I hadn't bounced off the writing so hard, but I really would read a sentence and not even recall what I had read and have to go back and read it again. The audiobook was a little bit better, but I still struggled. Martha Wells' writing, it's super hit or miss for me, unfortunately, because I love Murderbot so much. But this is done, so we can pick the second book from the options. The prompt is to read a book you've been putting off the longest despite being curious about. So we have a couple of options for this prompt. First up I haven't had it on my TBR the longest, but it is one of the earliest books I got from Aardvark Book Club that still isn't read. This is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. This is sapphic, gothic. I've really wanted to read this. I've been putting it off. I need to prioritize my Aardvark Book Club book, so this is an option. If we're talking literal book that I've had the longest, oh, that is probably The Memory Empire by Cameron Hurley. I think I've had this since 2020. I went through a real intense read all of Cameron Hurley's backlist phase and bought this off of Better World Books, Thrift Books. I got it used. Still haven't read it. And I think this is like a beginning of an epic fantasy series, like Tear the Kingdom Down type fantasy. And then if we want to go just like book that has been living rent-free in my head the longest, that would be Heaven's Official Blessings. I just bought this in December, but I have been wanting to read this book for years. And I've just seen other people read it and really like it. And I've been really curious on how I would feel about it. So these are the options. I definitely feel slumpy and that I'm having to work really hard to focus on the things that I'm reading. And I would like to read something that I can be obsessed with. So I'm not quite sure which one is the right choice. I don't know that I'm super ready for the first book in a burn the world down type book. I don't know that that's what I'm looking for or what I want, so I don't think I'm gonna do this one. Sorry, a family parked in front of my house and they were like the parents trying to get all the little kids out of the car. Also, I'm pretty sure I've had one of the kids in a gymnastics class before because they looked really similar, or they looked really familiar. Anyways, they're gone now, so I will no longer be distracted. So these are the what I'm done with. I really should prioritize a Aardvark Book Club book, but I've also had bad luck with Alison Saft before. I've DNF'd her before, so this would be like her second chance. But what if I don't like the romance of this? I don't know. I don't know what my choices are. Hold, please.
Yes?
Which one should I read?
Is this recording?
It is. You're going to help me make a decision because I don't know what to do.
Which one are they each about?
This is a fantasy romance. It's gay. This one is a sapphic romance, and it's like gothic.
This one.
Okay, oldest picked that one.
This one.
Youngest picked that one.
You just did that to me.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. You two rock, paper, scissors. And whichever one of you wins, that's the book I'll read.
Aha!
Okay, oldest won. Therefore, A Dark and Drowning Tide won. I did not update y'all yesterday. It's currently Friday, and I'm a little over halfway through Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. And this is about Lorelai, who I think this is Jewish folklore inspired. It doesn't say anything specifically in the synopsis, but we are following Lorelai, who is a folklorist at this university, and she is part of like a race of people that feels very Jewish coded, that are looked down upon. Oh, I forgot to blend in my tray shampoo. Her people are regarded as vipers, thieves, untrustworthy, stuff like that. So she has always had to really fight for any place in this society, and her people are also like forced to live in separate neighborhoods, so they're very segregated. Anyways, she's a folklorist at this university, and the professor that she works for, or that she idolizes, is organizing an expedition out into the wilds to search for a fabled spring. You're following them as they go on this expedition, and it's Lorelai, this professor, and then these 6 other very eccentric nobles who each have different areas of expertise in like a natural world. And one of them is Sylvia, who Lorelai hates, but also hates how attracted to her she is. And they start off on this expedition, and the first night or the second night, the professor is murdered, and Lorelai and Sylvia are the ones who find the body. So we have a mix of kind of a murder mystery where Lorelai and Sylvia are trying to figure out which of the 6 nobles might have murdered this professor, but also they're still trying to find the spring. And there's a very cool mix of folklore in here. Like something will happen and then it will be reminiscent of a mythology or a fairy tale, and then you'll get the fairy tale in the book as well. And I really like it when authors tie their, like when it's a fairy tale feeling book and then there are actual fairy tales tied into the story. I'm not as engaged with it as I feel like I should be. Like I like the writing, I like Lorelai, I like Sylvia, I like what's happening, but I'm not sucked in. Like I'm not having a reaction, an emotional reaction to the things that are happening to them, because they're in a lot of peril. There's a lot of monsters in this book, which also I really dig the monsters. They're very cool. But yeah, I'm just not, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because like I'm having to pick it up and put it down a lot, or if like I'm distracted from my reading because of things that are going around in the house. I don't know if there's just something about the writing that I'm not quite clicking with, even though I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm enjoying it way more than the book by Alison Saff that I DNF'd. I DNF'd A Far Wilder Magic, and not because I didn't like the writing, but that one felt very slow and boring and nothing was happening, whereas this one, there's so much action, there's so much stuff going on, and I really like it. I'm just not, I don't know, it's not a 5-star. It's just so silly, but I think this is good. I feel like I'm being very passive in my reading and my responses, and I would prefer it to be more reactive, but I can't force a response that I'm not having. So I don't know, but I think the commentary on this kingdom is really interesting. They have a king who has, I thought there was like a civil war and he has taken control over the kingdom, and there's a lot of unrest between the people who were in the kingdom originally and then the new people who have moved in to populate the kingdom. Sylvia is from a long line of nobility from the original kingdom. Like if her family was still in power, she would be the princess, but she also has a close relationship with the new king, and so she's trying to bridge the gap between the old kingdom and the new kingdom. So there's a lot of commentary about colonization, and then the way Lorelai's people are treated, the way Lorelai is treated as part of this other race of humans. And anyways, it's just very, very interesting, very well done. And I think the longing between Puzzle, I'll let you out in a minute. The longing between Lorelai and Sylvia is well done. And I really like all the times when Lorelai has been like, I hate Sylvia, but also look how pretty her hair is. Or there was one line, I should have marked it because she had this thought of like, I hate her, but I love her, but not being exactly like that. Anyways, Sapphic Longing. I would give the Sapphic Longing a 10 out of 10, even if I'm very like non-reactive to it. Anyways, I'm gonna go read more. Hopefully, I mean, I have to have this finished by tomorrow so I can finish this vlog so I can have it up on Sunday, but I don't know. Maybe I could finish it today. Probably not. My kids are on summer break. Let's not be overly ambitious the second day in. morning. I was about to say happy Friday, but it is in fact Saturday, and I did in fact finish A Dark and Drowning Tide this morning. I hurt my back again yesterday doing something that shouldn't hurt my back in a fair world, but that's clearly not the world we live in. So I hurt my back again, which means lying down in my bed was uncomfortable, and I woke up at 5 and was not comfortable enough to go back to sleep. So I just got up and I was able to finish this, and I'm giving it a solid 4-star, like a strong 4 stars. I really liked the latter half of this. I feel like the pace picked up a little bit, maybe a little too fast if we're being technical, because we had to get through a lot of things. There were 2 plots to this book, and one plot could have easily been this whole book, and the second plot could have been a book too, but we didn't do that. We got it all in here, but I really liked how fast it was, how action-packed. This is the lesbian yearning, the dynamic that I have been looking for every time I pick up a book that is described as sapphic. This is what I was so disappointed about with The Night and the Moth, where if you saw that vlog, like I didn't like how their relationship dynamic totally shifted once they had feelings. But Lorelai and Sylvia continued to fight with each other even after they had like hooked up, even after they admitted they had feelings. Like their personalities didn't change. They are still who they are. Like they love each other, but they have very different ideas of how the world works based on their past experiences. Lorelai and Sylvia have lived very, very different lives. Sylvia has a lot of privilege and hasn't experienced the same bigotry and prejudice that Lorelai has lived through her life. She hasn't experienced the same loss. Not that her loss hasn't affected her, but it's so different. So they're coming to the world from such vastly different perspectives, and they both want to approach different events differently. They want to take different actions, and they're going to butt heads about that. And that is not going to change just because they have feelings for each other. And I loved that Allison Saft did that she kept them how they were. Lorelai didn't become any less cranky or stubborn or strong-willed. Like she's still that way. And yeah, maybe she's like gonna be a little bit softer towards Sylvia, but she is still who she is. And I absolutely love that. So that I really hope she writes more sapphic books. I believe this is her first one. I think her YA books all have boy-girl romances. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Far Wilder Magic did, because that's the one I DNF'd. And A Fragile Enchantment, that's the vibe I get from the cover and the synopsis. Down Comes the Night, I'm not familiar with, so I'll have to look into that. But anyways, I hope she writes more sapphic, lesbian, whatever you want to call it, books, because I will eat them up. She did it so well, and it's truly a 4-star. Just for the yearning and Lorelai and Sylvia's relationship. I absolutely loved it. I think this is really good. I didn't get any more engaged, which is why it's not a 5-star, but I don't think it's the book's problem. I think it's a me problem. I think in my heart of hearts, if I wasn't, even though like this, I am choosing what I want to read, but I'm choosing it based off a prompt, that this maybe isn't exactly what I would have picked up this week. I probably would have picked up something else. Like, spoiler alert, I got the audiobook for the second Spark of the Everflame book by Penn Cole from the library the other day, and that's really, and I have a physical copy as well, and that's all I've wanted to read for the last 2 days. So like having to read something else is maybe not my ideal condition. So that could have had an impact. I also think I mentioned my reading was really fragmented and broken up quite a bit just because of life. The most I enjoyed it was this morning, where I read for 2 hours without stopping, without being pulled out of it, and that also really helped. I think probably this book would have been served more by me if I had read it in maybe 2 days instead of 3.5 days. Just because I notice I tend to enjoy a book more if I read it quickly. If I drag it out, I don't know, it's like I lose that suspense and it's not as enjoyable as an experience. So the not 5-star, I think, is more reflection on me. I can easily see somebody else giving this book 5 stars, but it's still a strong 4-star. I still really enjoyed it. It's redeemed Allison Saft for me. I'll definitely read more from her in the future, and I'm really glad that Clear Your Shit forced me to pick this book up. So with that, I'm gonna end this vlog because we have a very busy Saturday and I need to start getting ready for it. I hope you all had a good week and that you read something that you really loved. If you would like to leave an emoji to let me know you made it to the end of the video. You know what? Since both of the books I read in this vlog had to do with water in some way, shape, or form, let's either do a water droplet emoji or a wave emoji. And other than that, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!